So Arlo, just about a year ago, your mother bought herself some baby chickens. There were 6 of them, and my first suggestion for their names was George, Ringo, Paul, George 2, Ringo 2, and Paul 2. Which, as you know by now, is the kind of thing that I think is very funny. But we settled instead on naming them after the 6 Sigma from 30 Rock. Teamwork, insight, brutality, male enhancement, handshakefulness, and play hard. They were really beautiful chickens, and they lived for a couple weeks in a blue plastic bin under a heating lamp in the middle of our garage. I used to sit out there and play the ukulele for them.
Years, days, makes no difference to me, babe.
As they got bigger, we built ourselves a little chicken coop. It had a perch, it had some nesting boxes, a feeder, and a water trough. We dragged it out to the edge of the woods in our backyard, and we let the 6 Sigmas get accustomed to the place.
To your lips, stain. I saw a masterpiece. She looks a lot like you. Wrapping your left arm around my right.
Something got in the coop on the 2nd or 3rd night out there, and it killed all the chickens. Well, we think it killed all of them. There were only 2.5 dead chickens in there. The rest had been pulled through this little crack between the door and the floor. It didn't seem big enough to allow for that, and it was up so high off the ground. But it happened. Your mother was so upset that she threw up. I buried the remaining chickens in the woods near the coop. It was a sad day. But 3 days later, we found out we were having you.
Ooh, what is it?
It's a boy.
Whoa, really?
Are you like in the middle of like phone up on the screen?
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Oh my god.
Arlo, it's January 27th. We're standing at the south entrance of Wentworth Douglas Hospital because Christy's water broke. Your mother's water broke. You know who she is. It broke at 5 a.m. So we have a leisurely morning. We went to a farmer's market. We went to breakfast. Went to Home Depot. But now we're going to find out what's going on with you. Arlo, there's this awesome song by Wilco called The Late Greats, which is about how some of the best bands and music out there is unreleased, unheard, and unknown.
The greatest lost track of all time. The late greats turpentine. You can't hear it on the radio. You can't hear it anywhere you go.
But not in a negative way. It's kind of a song about unlimited possibility. And I think Jeff Tweedy also tends to believe in music being satisfying in and of itself. And I hope that that's one thing that we can teach you, that being creative is its own reward. By the way, Arlo, Jeff Tweedy is the leader of a band called Wilco. He was a particularly important figure for me in my late teens and early 20s. Anyway, that Wilco song always makes you think of another Wilco song called Magazine Called Sunset.
There's a magazine called Sunset and a tape machine that won't let me ever forget this impossible longing for you.
It's a great song, made somehow better by the fact that, like the music described in The Late Greats, it was never officially released.
Oh, I'm a future file outstanding in the present race of phantom. There's a magazine. There's a magazine.
I mean, obviously, it's available. Everything's available now because of the internet, and assuming that when you're a teenager we still have the internet, I wonder if the concept of unreleased songs will even make sense or hold significance for you. All the old economic models that dictated how we experienced music are going away, and I don't know if there'll be a clear difference between released and unreleased music before long. There's just going to be music that is available on the internet and music that everybody forgot about. But anyway, here's a couple of my favorite songs that were never properly released. The Guest by Phantom Planet.
I suppose that there's no way to break a broken heart.
So Phantom Planet was originally notable for being the band where Jason Schwartzman played the drums. Arlo, Jason Schwartzman's a great actor, a kind of cool but also eccentric dude. He starred in films like Rushmore and I Heart Huckabees and Golden Exits. So Phantom Planet's first proper album was called The Guest. And yet, a song of theirs, also called The Guest, was not on the record. Instead, it was included in demo form on a bonus disc, which I always thought was really bizarre, because it's such a great song. Why isn't it on the record?
Would you please put out your cigarette? 'Cause the gas is getting sick of it.
Jason Schwartzman left the band after this album was released, presumably because he was too busy acting, and Phantom Planet's sound changed radically in his absence. They lost Schwartzman's pop sensibility for something a little sloppier and harder edged. It made for an interesting auditory experiment. Like, what does it sound like when you pretend to forget the Beatles? You go from this...
Hustlers, grab your guns, your shadow weighs a ton, driving down the 101.
To this.
If you're planning to invest, well, anything I will be coming to collect. Oh yeah, well you can sound, never do well with delaying. Bad business, yeah, bad business. It doesn't seem so way, let it clean and excess spreads. You never know what could be next.
Both good, but, more different than you would normally expect a band to be after losing a drummer. Jason Schwartzman went on to fulfill Phantom Planet's initial promise with a different project, a band called Coconut Records.
We both go together if one falls down. I talk out loud like you're still around.
This is another weird cultural thing that happened in my youth, Arlo. For a long time, it seemed like celebrities barely had time for anything. They'd be in one movie every 2 years, and that seemed to take up all of their time. Somewhere along the way, that totally changed, and now they're in 6 movies, a TV show on a streaming service, and they're in a band. Jason Schwartzman's career moved from one era into the other. Pull Me In Tighter by Rilo Kiley.
There's no need for depression, and no, I don't have the blues. Wouldn't wanna go to heaven if I can't go there with you.
Arlo, one of life's singular pleasures is going to see a band that you like and hearing them play a great new song. One that promises another legendary album to come. Such was the case when your mom and Uncle Morgan and I saw Rilo Kiley in Vermont in 2005 or so, a little while after the release of their instant classic album, More Adventurous.
And baby, I will survive. I will survive. And baby, I will survive.
At the show, they played this song, and the future looked very bright. It was not to be, however, as Rilo Kiley's next record was a soulless disco nightmare that marked the dissolution of the band altogether. And Pull Me In Tighter was left in the dust.
There's no need for depression, and no, I don't have the blues.
Surprisingly, it turns out that a version of this song was recorded. I found it on YouTube. It's a little faster than the version that I heard, and it omits the joyful a cappella breakdown from the live performance, which makes sense. Rilo Kiley seemed determined to kill everything joyful at that point in their career. Oddly, when Rilo Kiley released their rare tracks and B-sides collection, well after the band was officially dead, this song was still nowhere to be found. So there's actually another really great unreleased Rilo Kiley song. It's called Room 8. I used to have this live bootleg of it, but I can't find it. So your mom and I are going to play it for you now. Arlo, it's 6:20 p.m. We came home from the hospital. Well, first we had some pizza. Then we came home from the hospital. And now we're all going to have a beer and a toast to you. Okay. To Arlo.
Arlo.
May this beer be the thing that makes him want to come out.
Uh-oh. Something came out.
Arlo, it's about 11 p.m. on Sunday. We've been back at the hospital for about 16 hours. So, what seems to have happened is that either because of an abrupt change in the weather or because you're just rambunctious, your mom's water broke without labor necessarily starting. So, this is seemingly very delicate process of trying to start the whole thing artificially, trying to get the balance of Pitocin right, watching your heart rate during contractions, and that's what we're doing. That's all that's happening right now.
Hey, Zach, it's Brittany. Just calling to check in. Chip and I are sitting here. We wanted to see how you guys are doing. Yeah, we ate a popsicle, Chip wants you to know. And, yeah, we just want to see how you guys are feeling, and I don't know, if you need anything, let us know, huh? You want to say anything, Uncle Zach and Auntie Christy? Chippy? Hey, right here. What do you want to say? All right. Love you. Say love. Say love. No more popsicles. Say love.
Now, unreleased songs are one thing, but what about unreleased albums? So, Arlo, there's this really cool musician named Fiona Apple. I first became aware of her in the 90s when Mark Romanek directed a very sexy video for a song of hers that was called Criminal. I was like 11 years old and I did not know what to do with all of that stimulus. As an adult, I can look back on that video and be struck by the camera movements and the lighting, and the way that the sudden camera stops and red eye effects create the impression of flash photography without being too direct or obvious about it. I'm also struck by the absolutely vicious drums, which are enhanced by the way that Fiona Apple really hammers those low piano keys. But as a boy, I did not notice any of that because she was taking her clothes off.
I've been a bad girl. I've been careless with a delicate man.
Anyway, the thing to know about Fiona Apple is that because she is honest and engages very directly with her own emotions, she has a reputation for being crazy. She's not crazy. Well, okay, maybe she is a little bit, but she's kind of crazy, and the 90s were very unfair to her. And like many artists who became successful in the pre-internet days, she was locked into a record contract that was also very unfair to her.
Little drop when I was on my way beyond the Rubicon.
This idea that corporations could exercise creative control over an artist is one that seems more and more absurd as time goes on, as executives learn that authentic voices tend to find audiences and sell on their own merits, and as authentic voices learn to seek contractual agreements that allow for that. But Arlo, that's a very recent development.
Whoa, after all the fold, the rolling, hauling over cold stops, what will I do?
Which is how the entire first version of Fiona Apple's album Extraordinary Machine was relegated to the dustbin of history. The first version was produced by the composer and weird old keyboard enthusiast John Bryan. Here's what John Bryan's score for the Jason Schwartzman movie I Heart Huckabees sounds like. That's John Bryan in a nutshell. He's cool. You tend to notice a John Bryan score. That's one thing your mom is really good at, by the way, noticing instrumental signatures. I remember one time when we were dating, she correctly guessed Thomas Newman had scored a movie we were watching, and when it turned out that she was right, I found that to be very, very attractive. Anyway, John Bryan and Fiona Apple's recordings were, according to legend, deemed too weird and non-commercial, and her record label refused to release it.
Times of boom and boom and bust. My feet of clay, they died to dust. Though it isn't the red we painted, it's just rust. That signature thing that used to bring a following.
Some songs were leaked online. Fiona Apple fans mounted a letter-writing campaign, which is very old-fashioned, and months and years passed, and eventually she re-recorded most of the album.
Those boom times went bust. My feet of clay, they dried to dust. The red isn't the red we painted, it's just rust. And the signature thing that used to bring the following.
And the resulting properly released version of Extraordinary Machine is really good.
Oh, after all the fold, the rolling, hauling over cold stops, what will I do?
But so are the leaked John Bryan sessions. So I guess everybody wins. Arlo, it's almost 7 a.m. on a Monday, meaning it's been over 48 hours since you broke your mom's water. You know, we're still wondering why you did that. Anyway, there are a lot of factors that make it sort of difficult to determine exactly how far along we are, including risk of infection, nobody being quite sure exactly how high your mother's pain tolerance is. I mean, we know it's high, but like, how high? So we're still waiting for you. That's about it. I don't know that anybody really prepared us for, how chill this whole thing would be. I mean, long, yes, not this long. But also not this chill. Arlo, it's 5:23 p.m. on Monday, meaning that the water broke 60 hours ago, dude. Things are moving. Your mother got some sleep earlier. A lot of stuff is beeping, but don't worry about that. That's just what it sounds like to try and get you to, come out at a reasonable hour. I'm flashing forward to a future of, your alarm clock going off all morning. Like father, like son. I guess this is what I deserve. So again, Arlo, by the time you're old enough to care about music, I don't really think record labels will be a thing, and the Fiona Apple situation illustrates why that's mostly positive. But for me, they were a major framework for understanding and a method for finding new music. By now you've heard your Uncle Morgan and I talk a lot about Saddle Creek Records, and those dudes were smart enough to include their release catalog as an insert in all of their CDs and vinyls, which is how we became fans of virtually everyone who owned a guitar in Omaha, Nebraska, despite having never been anywhere near it. Saddle Creek was kind of the brightest shining example from that era. They had basically the opposite content control policy as Fiona Apple's record label, and they split revenues with their artists 50-50. They also still send handwritten thank you notes with every online purchase, which is crazy to me. One time I got one from Greta Cohn, and I trust, Arlo, that at this point, if you've been listening to me talk, you know who that is. There were other record labels that probably did the same thing for other people. There was Merge Records, Elephant Six, Drive Thru Records. Rumor has it, Drive Thru Records really screwed over the band Midtown, which inspired their album Living Well Is the Best Revenge, which is a pretty good record.
And that your friendship was a lie. Still I cannot see the real in you. Yet for years I was betrayed. Now I can finally say that I'm afraid that you become everything that you had hated.
But the one I wanted to talk about for a minute here is Vagrant Records. I found out about them because I like this band Dashboard Confessional.
This is where I say I've had enough. No one should ever feel the way that I feel now.
So I bought a DVD of music videos from all the bands on that record label, and I found a bunch of great others. It seems insane to me now already that people used to release whole DVDs of music videos, but it wasn't even that long ago. I own like 10 of them, Arlo. Okay, so a couple of Vagrant Records bands worth mentioning. The Get Up Kids, who at first made very fun, like primary color pop punk.
You taught me how brave the fool. Every mistake that I make, I couldn't have made without you.
And then later found a kind of melancholy indie rock that was entirely their own at a time when most of the melancholy indie rock out there was entirely a ripoff of Conor Oberst.
You're a few years overdue. I spent them waiting here for you. Now your charities refused. I can't name a penance for abuse.
Then there's Hot Rod Circuit, who have two really great songs. This is one of them.
This town was cool for one night. Early July. Childhood friends have all grown up.
Then there's The Anniversary.
Sweet Marie, there's a hole where your heart should be. And on the hill, she's begging for harmony.
This song is about a guitar, and I remember feeling really clever when I figured that out. Finally, Alkaline Trio is a very important band to your mother and I.
I wonder what it was that made you this way. Maybe as a baby you dropped your rattle. Still rattles you to this day. You better punch your real lips in the mirror. They don't work on me.
It was the first concert we ever went to, and consequently, it was the first time we ever got to sleep in the same bed, which was not so much a bed as much as two couches pushed together at your great uncle Jeremy's house.
A poinsettia and poison rain, traded to the currents of an injury. We watched it down the drain, with one silver bullet and two Vicodin.
Alkaline Trio were very goth and a lot of fun, and they put out 4 or 5 really great records before abruptly smoothing out a few too many rough edges, accidentally making themselves not cool anymore. The same thing happened to the band AFI around the same time. It was the great goth singularity of 2005, and it was a drag. Your mom and I stopped dyeing our hair black and started trying out some different colors. So to circle back to Dashboard Confessional, for a second, they had this song that was called Hands Down. It was initially released on this kind of throwaway EP, which is where your mom and I found it and where it became one of our early songs.
Breathe in for luck, breathe in so deep.
You know, it's a song about two lovers having a really good day together, doing mostly nothing, which really spoke to us because, you know, we were 16 years old and we hung out all day and did mostly nothing.
From self-control.
I have a lot of really clear memories of that time. I keep waiting for them to seem like they were a long time ago, but they just don't.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Arlo, it's January 30th, 2018. You were born last night at 3:24 in the morning.
Hi, Zach's mom and sister are here to visit.
Okay.
Okay, send him in.
Okay, thanks.
Arlo, I just wanted to be more particular about the specifics of your birth. So, your mom was what they call ruptured for 71 hours. Her water broke at 4:45 in the morning on Saturday, and you were born at 3:24 on Monday. And so she was given Pitocin, which is a kind of synthetic oxytocin to induce labor, and just an IV fluid bag along with that. And other than that, took no chemical pain relief. And when you actually, came all the way out, a lot of blood came with you. Like, a lot of blood. There was a scale in here that I thought was for weighing you. And at one point I turned around and noticed that it was gone. And so I asked Nurse Sophie how much you weighed. And she said, "Oh, we haven't weighed him yet." And I said, "Well, there was a scale in here earlier, I noticed." And she said, "Oh yeah, that scale actually is for blood." Arlo, we're taking you home tomorrow, and I'm having a hard time imagining it. We've been living at this hospital since Sunday morning. It's Wednesday night now. We've hoarded enough hospital food to have like a really bland feast. And I guess I've just grown accustomed to living in a single room with you, nurses coming in every 3 hours to reassure us that you're not just gonna, I don't know, vanish. We've had a couple of scares with you already, and I know that it's nothing compared to the real world scares that eventually await me. But the opposite is true too. You know, the highest highs of this place won't compare to when we can go back and be with you at our house. Everything feels very suspended in time here, which is part of why it feels like we've been here so long, even though, I mean, we have been here so long. But it feels longer than long, and it also feels incredibly short. And when I think about you living with us, I can both picture every piece of it and can't picture any of it. I can't wait for it to be real. Arlo, I wrote a letter to the nurses and midwives and other staff members here at the hospital. It's our last day. We're going home. It goes like this. At the end of each shift change, we found ourselves thinking gratefully of the help each of you have given us at each stage of this journey. Over and over, we felt that the perfect person for the job had been here with us and couldn't imagine going on without them, only to find that our next nurse was exactly who we needed now. Jen, Annie, and Tristan expertly guided us through early labor. We cannot fathom going through birth without Rachel and Sophie. Those late-night blood and breathing tests would have been much scarier without Caitlin. Tracy and Elizabeth were a lactation dream team. Today, Kate and Courtney are helping us get ready to leave. I wouldn't have had it any other way, but I also realize that it would have been perfect in any other combination. Birth is not a miracle, it's a machine. It runs on the determination and grit of mothers and the skill and expertise of you all. None of what happened this week was luck. It was the product of hardworking people who are great at their jobs. Any of you would have been perfect for each moment, but we are grateful for the moments we had. Thank you all so much. Zach, Christy, and Arlo Little. February 1st, 2018.
Tight.
You're in, buddy. All right, head count. Zach,
I'm here.
Christy, Arlo.
You hear Arlo?
Everybody buckled in?
No.
All right. Arlo, while your mother was preparing to give birth to you, she created this 12-hour playlist. The idea was it was going to help her get through labor. It had a lot of different stuff on it. It had, like, meditative, pan flute shit. It had kind of, like mellow, groovy Jack Johnson type songs. It had some that were just sort of, like, jokes.
I ain't gonna fear no pain. I ain't gonna fear no pain anymore.
We still have that playlist. We still listen to it all the time because it takes us back to those few days that we were in the hospital with you. One of the best things about music is the way that it can trigger memories. It can bring you back to a place and time. So here's 5 songs that I will always associate with the early days of your life. About a Bruise by Iron and Wine.
This is borrowed stone. I'd help you let your hair down, point to birds, then you'd say bang.
So this was not an official entry on your mother's birthing playlist, but I was obsessed with this song the week that you were born, and I played it probably twice a day in the hospital. How Simple by Hop Along. one of your father's favorite bands, and this song was released as a single ahead of a new album, which you and I feverishly anticipated as we danced around the house during your first couple days of life. Guilt Trip by Pup.
How many times have you lied to my face? I can't confront you, and it's better that way. And how many balls must I break?
Surprisingly, I used to play this song to calm you down. When you first arrived on this earth, you tended to need a little bit of chaos at all times, and if there wasn't any nearby, you'd create it yourself, which I can respect, but I played this song to satisfy your needs, and it really seemed to work. Rise Above by Dirty Projectors. This is a cover, or a reimagining, or whatever, of a Black Flag song, which made it an unlikely candidate for your mom's birthing playlist, but I have a very strong memory of hearing this song playing during a particularly worrying time during labor, and finding a very real and authentic peace within it. I'll be grateful for this day by Bright Eyes. This song was playing just after you were born, as your mother and I looked at you for the first time. Your head was kind of misshapen, and you were bloody and understandably disoriented, but you were you, and you were here, and I was grateful.
I think that she teaches at one of the schools downtown. We used to roll the windows down and play the music loud, smoking out in her car, lost in West Omaha, and we get drunk and kiss our bodies just like shoelaces, and we never came untied. I guess you just were my type. You know that summer never stopped. I still pretend I'm there. The band's in the living room. Neighbors, they never cared. So when I sat behind the drum set, your heartbeat's what I tried to play. With the kick and snare, so careless, not in time. So you got ahead of me, and I guess I'm still dragging behind.
So, Arlo, this episode has been addressed specifically to you. But the truth is, I've realized recently that all of them are to you. I've been talking to you this whole time, and I didn't even really know it. This podcast has never really been about any one thing, but a major through line has been my emotional development, and that emotional development led very directly to the decision to have you. I have always known that I wanted to be in a stable place emotionally before I became a father, and for most of my life, that seemed impossibly far off. And while I'm not saying that I'm there yet, I feel pretty close, and I know that one day, when you're around the age that I am now, you might have a similar set of feelings. And I wonder if you'll listen to this and be soothed by it in some way. I mean, there's some stuff that is really only in the subtext of these episodes, about how I was doing and what I was getting through. But you'll hear about that from me directly. I hope you won't think my taste in music is too lame. Arlo, I'm so excited to see what life brings for us, and for you alone. I can't wait for you to be able to talk back to me about music and art and everything else you're interested in. I can't wait for you to find things on your own. Music, books, movies, sports, whatever. I can't wait for you to tell me about some of it and keep some of it for yourself. It's already so exciting to see the world through your eyes, and it's going to get so much better that I can scarcely imagine it. It's the only thing I'm looking forward to. I'm basically here to hang out with you for the rest of my life. So thanks for listening.